After Oleksandr Usyk's manhandling of Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia a couple weeks back, attention soon turned to whether or not the Ukrainian might next take on Tyson Fury. Having claimed he was retiring earlier this year after knocking out Dillian Whyte, it is thought he could be tempted back to unify the heavyweight division. Today, we're discussing if this one is actually going to happen, plus how much the purse will be. Stay tuned. Let's get straight into it then. What's going on? Tyson Fury claimed straight after his knockout win over Dillian Whyte that he was imminently retiring. However, since that day, there have been murmurings that he could be tempted back to face either Anthony Joshua or Oleksandr Usyk. With Joshua's star well and truly faded, attention now turns to the tough Ukrainian, who challenged the Gypsy King following his second win over Joshua. Fury is almost certainly the best heavyweight on the planet, and possibly one of the best ever, but Usyk also has serious skills, as well as a ton of belts which Fury wants for himself. Usyk has also claimed that he won't fight again unless it happens to be against Tyson Fury, so this one really sells itself. Fury, on the other hand, has claimed he will come out of retirement, but he wants to be paid for his troubles. Speaking last week, the Morecambe-based boxer suggested that promoters would need to pay him £500 million for him to even consider getting out of bed. Of course, that's an eye-watering amount of money which he has zero chance of getting, but if he is offered around 10% of that, he would probably be tempted. The fight would be one of the most highly anticipated heavyweight matchups since the days of Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali before him, and we think considering the money to be made, this one's a no-brainer. What do you guys think? So how much money would be on the line? Stay tuned to hear about it. Well, as we mentioned, Fury has suggested that he wants £500 million to fight Usyk, but that's just absurd. Even with the amount of money the Saudis are throwing around, nobody would be stupid enough to pay one man that amount of cash. So what would the pair reasonably be looking at? Fury's justification came by claiming that Mayweather made $400 million for his bout against Pacquiao, so he wants $500 million, although most people are in agreement that the Gypsy King is way off with his numbers. Mayweather made around $180 million for that fight, but appearing on UK's TalkSport radio, Fury claimed that he would only come back for an obscene amount of money. He then went on to claim, quite conventionally considering it's not going to happen, that he would fight Joshua for free, before describing Usyk as an unknown quantity, which is why he wants so much money. Rather bizarrely, he then suggested that he doesn't even need the money, which a TalkSport host then responded to by saying, well, if it's not about money, then why does it need to be about money? Which was fair enough. To which Tyson replied that as the fight would be the biggest in the world, he needs it to be the biggest payday in the world. The walking contradiction that is Tyson Fury, ladies and gentlemen. We think he could expect to bank between $50 to $100 million. What do you guys think? So where would the fight be held? Let's see. Fury had claimed before the fight that if Joshua wants to win, they should do it in England for UK fans. That would probably have meant London's O2 or Wembley Stadium. However, Fury had also suggested that they do the fight for free, so it didn't particularly matter where it would have been. Usyk is a different story. Of course, given the fact that this is boxing, a sport full of promotional leeches, everyone will want a cut of a fight this big. The only places which would be willing to fund a fight of this magnitude would be somewhere like Saudi Arabia or UAE, possibly Vegas at a push. British promoter Frank Warren said, so we've got to look abroad. The places where it would work would be the Middle East and a couple of other places that we've had some loose discussions with. Both fighters are undefeated and there's 4 belts on the line. It will be something special. It's boxing's World Cup final. Of course, they haven't got to look abroad, they want to look abroad to milk as much money out of the fight as possible. They will almost certainly still charge real fans an inordinate amount of money to watch on pay-per-view as well, which is pretty scandalous, but again, this is boxing. Where do you guys believe is the best place for this one to take place? What's going to be on the line then? Stay with us to find out. Well, as we know, Tyson Fury was the lineal world heavyweight champion, almost certainly the most respected between hardcore fight fans as the man who beat the man, but that title now belongs to Usyk. Fury also held the ring and WBC heavyweight titles before his recent retirement. He was forced to vacate the ring title belt after announcing his retirement, but was allowed to keep his WBC title after informing the organization that he would compete for it again. Of course, nowadays Oleksandr Usyk holds the 5 main world heavyweight titles, including the ring title, which he won last time time out against Joshua, adding that to the other belts, WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO, he picked up after beating AJ first time out. All of this means we currently have no undisputed champion, but as soon as this one gets booked, which we're quietly confident it will, that will ultimately mean the division will be unified one way or another. The coveted status is awarded to the fighter who's in possession of all belts, which hasn't been seen this century. Lennox Lewis was the last unified heavyweight world champ, after defeating Evander Holyfield to unify the division back in 1999. Whichever one of these guys manages to become undisputed champ would be joining a list of legends such as Mike Tyson, Jack Dempsey, Rocky Marciano, and of course Muhammad Ali. Who do you guys see coming out on top should this one get booked? When do we think the fight might take place then? Let's see. Well, considering the fact that Oleksandr Usyk has only just fought in the first defense of his world heavyweight titles, it probably won't be anytime soon. Fury's 500 million pound demands also came with a time frame. He wants the fight to take place sometime this year, of course. Fury hasn't fought since April, so has had a nice summer off. However, Usyk has been afforded no such luxury. If the fight was to take place this year, that would mean an incredibly quick turnaround. Elite boxers, especially in the heavyweight division, tend to only fight once or twice a year given the brutal impact the fights have on the body. But if the millions upon millions Tyson Fury is talking about actually materializes, then we're sure he would probably suck it up. Usyk didn't take too much damage in his fight against Joshua, and if the fight was to take place sooner rather than later, he's already in shape, so could maintain the gains he just made during this fight camp. Fury, on the other hand, would essentially be starting from scratch physicality-wise. So there are pros and cons for both fighters when this fight might take place. Of course, we cannot see Fury being given the ludicrous money he's asking for, so if this one does take place, we would suggest it would more likely be sometime next spring. What do you guys think? And finally, a former heavyweight champion has given his prediction. Hasim Rahman shocked the world back in April 2001 as he dethroned Lennox Lewis to become WBC, IBF, and IBO heavyweight champion. So he's in a better position than most to give his opinion on how he sees any potential fight between Usyk and Fury going down. But it is grim reading for the Gypsy King. Rahman believes that Usyk is the best heavyweight fighting today, and that Fury isn't as skillful as the natural cruiserweight. Rahman, whose son was scheduled to fight Jake Paul before Paul pulled out of the fight, went on to say, "I think Fury imitates Usyk, and he's had a lot of success with it, fighting plodding, slow heavyweights who aren't really boxing like that. Everything Fury can do in boxing, Usyk can do it better. It's not one that everyone around the world of boxing particularly shares, as many people have referenced the sheer size of Fury." He also said, "With heavyweights, it's different. Most heavyweights are lazy and they don't have that work ethic. With the smaller guys, it's a little different. I guess we'll see." What do you guys make of Rahman's words? As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video whilst also subscribing to our channel so you don't miss out on more cool bits and pieces in the future. Bye guys!